It was Jake Haener and wide receiver Kevin Austin that stole the show as the New Orleans Saints wrap up practice here in Irvine, California. We got all of that and a little bit of lagniappe for you on today's episode of Locked On Saints.
You are Locked On Saints, your daily New Orleans Saints podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, Who Dat Nation and Who Dat family? I am your host, your friend Ross Jackson, New Orleans native, your New Orleans Saints expert and credentialed member of the media covering those New Orleans Saints as the Saints beat writer over at LouisianaSports.net, which is set to debut this Sunday. You can also find me as the Saints analyst over at WWL TV. We appreciate you very much for being here for another episode. On today's show, breaking down day 17 of New Orleans Saints training camp. We're going to go into the run game, finishing out their West Coast camp strong, diving into Chase Young still being very good. And we're going to lead everything off with the stars of day 17, in my humble opinion, quarterback Jake Haener and wide receiver Kevin Austin Jr., who is making a push for a roster spot. We appreciate you very much for making us your first listen of the day every day here on the show, and for being an everydayer here on the show, which is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use that promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. It was a busy day for the New Orleans Saints, who again went into situational work. They were doing a little bit of end-of-game simulation type work throughout the day. And a big part of what they were doing when it came to that was a look at an end-of-game drive. And they simulated their end-of-game drive as if they were down by, I believe it was 22-7 in that situation, 22-27 in that situation. So they needed to get a touchdown, right? Didn't need the extra point, just needed the touchdown. And just needed to be able to get into the end zone. And the Saints' first team failed to do that. They came up short when it came to a couple of plays here. They moved down the field well, but then got to about the 31-yard line from the 45, starting on the other side of the 50. So only really moved a little bit. Then there was a little bit of a fight between Brian Brzee and Eric McCoy, and we also saw Lucas Patrick involved in it. After that fight, they kind of just called it off. Dennis Allen says that they just didn't want to do like a Hail Mary type of a situation with 30-plus yards to go and all that at the end. So then they went on to their second team. When they went on to their second team, Jake Haener missed on a pass to, it looked like 85, so it looked like Dallin Holker at one point, but then ended up completing a big pass on a great throw and catch by Jake Haener to Kevin Austin Jr. Kevin Austin Jr., I really hope gets playing time against the San Francisco 49ers this Sunday. Kevin Austin Jr. has been somebody that has consistently made plays here throughout camp, and I think right now is making a pretty good claim for a roster spot. Remember, the Saints haven't had a lot of receivers really step up behind guys like Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. By the way, Rashid Shaheed missing practice again today. This time, instead of the hamstring injury, Dennis Allen saying it was a toe/foot injury. So definitely something to watch for, because toe injuries for the New Orleans Saints have not typically been great news for the team. So watch out for that. Although I will say Peyton Turner and Nathan Shepard both dealt with some toe issues early on in training camp, came back the very next day or after missing one practice, and they were fine. So, we can look at this both ways just to be fair. But behind those two guys, it feels like Cedric Wilson and A.T. Perry are kind of the ones that are solidified as the wide receiver 3, depending upon what you want, right? You want the outside receiver, you want the slot receiver, whatever. Behind them, though, there's still a 5th and then potentially 6th spot. I don't know if the new kickoff rules make it, and kickoff structure make it so that a 6th wide receiver spot is more necessary or anything like that. So we'll have to see exactly how that goes. But even when it comes to a 5th spot, there's guys like Bub Means, there's Samson Nakua, and there's Kevin Austin Jr., who are all making conversations for that. I thought Bub Means, since coming back to practice, has now had 2 straight pretty strong practices here so far. Not like big game-breaking plays or anything like that, but still strong practices and enough to show that he deserves some opportunity this Sunday, and we'll see how he performs in the game. Him as a drafted player, of course, gives him a little bit of an edge. But outside of that, The guy that has just made more plays has been Kevin Austin Jr., and he contributes to you on special teams as well, which we know the New Orleans Saints very much like from that position. So he continued on, by the way. So there was the big catch on what was like a post route into the middle of the field. Jake Haener doing a really good job stepping up and avoiding pressure and in delivering that pass over the middle of the field. Kind of had to throw it like a little side army to hit the arm angle on it that he needed, but really, really nice throw and catch by the two. We also then saw Jake Haener completing a pass to I got 84 written here, but I know that's no, 89. It just didn't close the top of my 9. Samson Nakua to pick up some more yardage there as well, and moving from the 24 to about the 14. So a nice 10-yard gain on that one. Then Jake Haener comes up, and listen, Jake did this thing in Thursday's practice where he kind of did this, fake handoff keeper and then walked into the end zone all by himself. And he kind of did that along with Clint Kubiak without letting anybody else know on the offensive side. So they were able to really sell that play fake because the running back was probably actually expecting to get the football in that situation. So really well sold. And then he comes back today and then tries to go with a fake spike fade to the back of the end zone and actually completed the pass to none other than Kevin Austin, who unfortunately just was led a little bit too far, couldn't get both feet in bounds. So then they came back on the next play, and on the very next play, Jake Haener does a good job again, climbing the pocket and delivering to Kevin Austin alone in the end zone, in the corner of the end zone, back corner of the end zone for the touchdown that sealed the win. Then this was really interesting. Instead of going for 2, now that they had leapt ahead in this simulation, now leading 29-28, I think it was, or maybe it was, I think it was 29-28 by the time that it was all said and done. 29-28. And so instead of actually running a 2-point conversion or kicking an extra point, they came out in their 2-point conversion and kneeled the football, which makes sense, right? You go out there, you kick the extra point. There's a chance that gets blocked. They could take it back for 2 points and win. You go for a run play to go for 2, and you go for on a run play, and then you fumble the ball, they pick it up, scoop and score. They win by 1 because they get 2 points. You throw a pick 6 in the end zone that goes a full 100 plus yards, 2 points the other way, they win by 1. Not a great scenario. So taking the knee there actually made a lot of sense. Really, really nice stuff there. So amongst the other wide receivers that I think are due some consideration after highlighting a really strong day by Jake Haener, really enjoyed watching him. I think based on what we've seen in practice, by the way, that Spencer Rattler is probably going to play the first half or will be the quarterback to finish the first half in this upcoming game. And then Haener will be the second half quarterback. So they'll flip what they did last week. What we just don't know yet is will we see starters play? Like, will they play all the healthy guys and things like that? So we'll definitely find that out. But really strong day from Jake Haener. When it comes to the other wide receivers to watch out for, though, guys like Shaq Davis, guys like Bub Means, guys like Mason Tipton, who's been dealing with injuries, still a lot more to be seen from those guys. Not a lot of opportunities going some of their ways as well. So definitely something to keep an eye out on as the preseason continues to roll on. So maybe they'll get some more opportunities come those preseason games. All right, coming up next, I want to dive into a look at Chase Young as well, who continues to be good, and how the New Orleans Saints run game really wrapped up this portion of training camp, right? The West Coast portion of training camp with a strong day. We're going to dive into all that here as we wrap up our quick fire episode of Locked On Saints, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app today so you can buy last-minute tickets. If you're like me, you don't plan months in advance. Sometimes you plan moments in advance. I like spur of the moment. Oh, this is happening in the city. Let's go check it out. Or when you're traveling and things like that, want to see what's going on for that weekend that you're in town. Gametime is the best place to go because you're going to end up saving money by going to Gametime as well. They are the destination for last minute tickets. Perfect for your trips. Perfect for a late, a date night, a spontaneous date night, all these other things. So make sure you go and check them out. They also have all-in pricing that you can toggle on, which will give you the opportunity to be able to see exactly how much tickets are before you get to check out. No hidden fees or anything like that. As long as you have all-in pricing toggled on, you can also find more in terms of their zone deals, flash deals, all that good stuff as well to save you even more money. So go check them out today. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and enter that promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is all about helping you find those qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and for free. So go check them out today because they are making it easier every step of the way to be able to post jobs. They even have a tool now that will write job descriptions for you, making the process even easier and faster. You can also know that over 70% of users over on LinkedIn don't even visit other job posting sites. So LinkedIn is the destination for folks that are looking for jobs. Perfect if you're looking for hiring, and even better because 86% of small businesses end up getting a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So you definitely want to make sure you're heading to LinkedIn to hire professionals like a professional. Just post your job for free today at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Let's get it, Who Dat Nation. Chase Young is still really, really, really good. Everybody, if you've got questions for before we dive into Sunday's preseason game next week, drop your questions. Send me your questions however you want. I'll try to answer them in a Sunday morning live episode. I think we're going to try to make a habit out of that, maybe some game day episodes and things like that. But just a heads up in terms of programming moving forward. No show tomorrow since it's Saturday, no practice. It's my travel day to get back to New Orleans as well. And then Sunday will be live before the game and after the game from New Orleans. So we'll be diving into all of that as well. All right. So I want to take a look, and when I say live before the game, I mean like in the morning, Sunday morning, not other stuff. Because I know other channels are doing stuff like right before. I don't want to cut anything off with that, but something Sunday morning. Make sure you got something before the game. All right. So Chase Young, I mentioned in yesterday's episode that counting back from day 17 to day 10 last year, that we definitely saw at least 10 sacks by Chase Young. Chase Young consistently disruptive, consistently in the backfield, consistently beating up on quarterbacks and offensive linemen and all the other stuff. And so I think that the thing that I want to highlight around Chase Young is that he's still really good. Today, he had another really great day. Pressure, sack. He walked away from yesterday's practice kind of saying like, hey, I had 3 of them and everything like that. Chase Young looks like he is exactly what it is that the New Orleans Saints wanted from him. So I just wanted to highlight that he, again, had a strong day. The New Orleans Saints offensive line, is it struggling versus if the New Orleans Saints defensive line is good? I highlighted that and broke that down in a previous episode. Now that Justin Simmons isn't going to be a New Orleans Saint, some might look at that and wonder, and actually somebody in the chat's asking about this right now, Jerry, would the Saints now turn their focus to an offensive lineman? Them going after Justin Simmons would never stop them from going after an offensive lineman. That would have never stopped that process in the first place. If they want other offensive linemen, they'll go get other offensive linemen. As example for that, they brought in guys like Tremaine Johnson. They brought in guys like Jesse Davis. They brought back Mark Evans. They've added, other offensive linemen like Shane Lemieux and Justin Herron earlier this offseason. If they want offensive linemen, they'll go get offensive linemen. They're just not getting the offensive linemen. That's just not what they're doing. And when they have been, they've been kind of getting these like smaller contract guys. So that probably tells you everything you need to know about where the New Orleans Saints either are with the money that they're willing to spend or where they are in terms of like how badly they feel like they need to address the offensive line versus how badly we feel like they need to address the offensive line. So that would be something that I would definitely be watching out for. But regardless of how bad the offensive line has struggled or anything like that, it has been great to see Chase Young just enter the chat so quickly as a guy that's able to help contribute to this pass rush. And I did a whole show on it this morning. You can go and check it out. But I just wanted to highlight that as a carry on from that. Another strong day from Chase Young today. The run game finished strong. And this was a big need for the New Orleans Saints, is to make sure that this run game is percolating, that it's working, right? One of the things that we highlighted here recently was game flow and how important that is in a game, but you can't replicate it in practice. If your run game is working, it keeps the defense from being able to just kind of pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. They have to be ready to defend the run. That's always a defense's first responsibility, is stop the run and everything like that on a play-by-play basis. And so I think that that's the next piece that you're looking for, is can that run game improve from where it was last year? And I thought today we saw a really strong run game. And this was without Alvin Kamara, who's still out with that back tightness that he was dealing with early on in the week. So he will not have practiced throughout this entire week. Will be interesting to see if he's back in New Orleans and how they manage that, right? Because they're going to be outside when it comes to Ullman Stadium on the 20th. They'll be outside when they're at their practice facility because the indoor practice facility is under, part of that is under renovation and everything. So will the heat cause more issues for the back tightness and things like that? I don't know. We'll have to see where all that goes. But we definitely did not see Alvin Kamara for this week of practice. And so even without Alvin Kamara, I thought Jamal Williams ran well today. I thought Jacob Cabote ran well today. I thought James Robinson ran particularly well today. And I thought that Jordan Mims had some nice moments today. Jordan Mims, I think the hype around him has kind of cooled off a little bit. That doesn't mean that he's underperforming or that he's performing worse or anything like that. It's just the hype's just kind of cooled down. And so I think a big game for the run game up against San Francisco on Sunday, I think would go a long way for this team. And remember, they're probably not going to run their full system. They're not going to run they're probably not going to run a big chunk of their system and all that. And so, you're only going to see so much of what it is that the New Orleans Saints are trying to offer this offseason. But what we're seeing in practice so far with the run game has been working. And it's interesting because if the run game is working, then it means that the offensive line is performing well, right? So that has been one of those things that one of the reasons why I kind of highlight, no, I think this defensive line has actually looked good from a pass rush perspective is because the run game still the offensive line still finds areas of the game where they produce well. And even without Taliesin Fuanga, who wasn't out on practice today, also dealing with back tightness, but Dennis Allen making it very clear, no need. He basically said, everybody can sleep easy when it comes to week 1 for Taliesin Fuanga. So that's really good news. But even with all of that, all the concern on the offensive line, the injuries on the offensive line, everything like that, the run game still went well today. And so now you kind of have to look at that as, all right, did the offensive line just perform well in the run game, or is the defensive line struggling in the run game? And then you're having the reverse conversation that you're having about the pass rush. So we don't really know until we see it, of course, but it was just a good thing to see the run game finished the day out strong. I've got several big runs. They ran some simulated drives that included, more than one 10 plus yard run. I still don't think we've seen a 20 plus yard run in camp. Hard to tell sometimes too, when it comes to these, because really something caught my eye, but really what'll happen is a defender will be in range of a running back, put their hands on that running back, and then the play will be blown dead. Whereas in a real game situation, who knows? Did that running back maybe break that tackle? Did that running back put a stiff arm on, knowing that this person was actually trying to tackle them versus what they're doing in practice and things like that? So we'll have to wait and see when it comes to all of that. But for the most part, it was just good to see the run game be successful, because if the run game can be successful or finish strong, I can't say be successful because it was a practice, right? But if the run game does finish strong, I think or with the run game finishing strong, I think that goes a long way for this team in 2024. Blake Grupe kicked today, missed 1 from 42, but otherwise went 8 of 9 and sunk every kick that he made that was in a game situation. So like a simulation of a drive or something like that. The only one that he missed was the first kick that he made that was from okay, we're doing field goals now. And then he came out and did those field goals. And he ended up missing one of those. Play of the day definitely goes to Jake Haener on completing that pass in the back of the end zone to Kevin Austin Jr. for the touchdown. I have a couple of other plays starred here throughout the day as well, including a wide open throwback to the left side from Derek Carr to Bub Means. Bub Means got some first team run today. It was him, 12 and 11. So it was Bub Means, Chris Olave, and Cedric Wilson, who were all kind of the first team receivers today. So good to see him get into the first team. We saw some nice plays from the linebackers again, including even Mike Rose. Mike Rose, somebody that kind of got added under the radar because the Saints were dealing with some injuries at linebacker. He made some nice plays in the run game and everything as well. So just really nice stuff from the Saints second level continues throughout. So those were kind of the highlights of the day. It was a little bit of I don't want to call it a slower day, but they only ran 3 or so team drills, coming off of another day where they ran 5 team drills, 6 team drills and stuff like that. So, they're just making sure that they are keeping as many people healthy as possible going into this preseason game. So we'll see how things go for them. It is a big game this weekend for guys that are fighting for roster spots. And I would imagine for fans that are watching this team and want to see something that gives them confidence about what this team looks like. And I think the Saints have a desire and a necessity to deliver on that. Let's see if they get it done. All right, y'all. Again, no show tomorrow, but we will be back Sunday morning with a bit of a pregame show. So drop a bunch of questions in the chat here if you're here live. If you're an insider, you can text them to me directly, or you can join the insider group by texting Who Dat to 504-285-7473 to become a part of that community. And then, of course, you can also find me on social media as well. So send me in your questions. I'll get some answered Sunday morning before the game. And, of course, we'll be live right after the game as well, as we get one more preseason game closer to the season actually getting underway. So we appreciate you very much for being here and for making Locked On Saints a part of your day, part of your routine, for saying yes to me on the show. As always, if you see me, please say hi. And if you need anything else around your New Orleans Saints in between these episodes, make sure you follow me on your favorite social media at Ross Jackson, NOLA. Hit me up. Let me know how the family's doing. Let me know how you living. Let me know how you momming them. And trust Who Dat Nation. I'll holla at you.